to discuss the capabilities and overall architecture of the solution with Frontier. Our agenda this morning, over the next hour, we'll go through some quick introductions so we understand all the players. We will again review the Frontier requirements as they've been defined to this team. We have a couple of different architecture options for the deployment of this solution. Then we'll review again the capabilities and move right on into a live demo. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, from the from the in-house team this morning, we have Jim Cubby, Laura Gatler, and John Goodwin. From the ConvergeOne team, we have Colin McBride and Linda Jacobs. And since we don't have any live Frontier folks, we'll let you guys introduce yourselves as you see this. Again, let's review the requirements as Frontier has given them to us for the non-traditional agents. Our first method is to, our first mission is to reduce the cost compared to the current Avaya solution. This would allow the existing Avaya capacity to be used for the growth that Frontier sees coming in their customer-facing agents. We have a requirement that our solution must interface to the existing experience portal and receive the call via a SIP connection. We are to provide standard contact center capabilities, including ACD and skill-based routing, reporting, call recording, quality monitoring with screen recording, omni-channel capabilities, and voicemail capabilities for these agents. The solution must support 1,615 concurrent agents, and our licensing model is a concurrent model, so that is supported in this. In our first call, we showed the architecture of this solution as residing in ConvergeOne data centers, as in data center number 1 and data center number 2, connecting via a SIP connection. As we continued to discuss this option, we also realized and have shared with Frontier that this solution could easily be housed in their existing data centers on virtual machines that they provide. This would be a much quicker to deploy solution as this WAN is already in place. So we have two different options to discuss with Frontier on the deployment of the solution to support their non-traditional agents. Are there any questions on that? Okay, moving right along. Let's go again over the key capabilities of contact center service provider from in-house. First of all is an intelligent multi-routing. It is a universal queue for all contact types. So there's no logging in, logging out, cherry picking, any of that. We have included the complete PBX and telephony platform, and we can integrate with Skype for Business if Frontier decides they want to do that down the road. The interfaces for all users are web accessible. We support single sign-on, so we can use Frontier's Active Directory for authentication. While you don't need it now, there is an integrated self-service. If you decide you want to deploy it in the future, that's great. Also, your specifications did not call for an outbound dialer, but it is an integrated part of CCSP, so we want you to know that it's there. We will be providing recording and quality monitoring, as well as real-time and historical reporting with some really cool dashboards and mini wallboards that I want you to see, that you'll see in the live demo. The solution does provide speech analytics, again, not deployed in this particular deployment, but certainly a future capability. With that, I'm going to throw this over to John Goodwin, who will do our live demo for us. Again, we hope this is a very interactive and educational process. Please feel free to raise your hand and ask any questions that you might have. John?
Thank you, Linda. Good morning, everyone. My name is John Goodwin, and I'm a Senior Solutions Engineer with in-house Interactive, and I'm going to provide you with a demo, a live demo of the CCSP Touchpoint Agent and Supervisor interface. We're going to go through some of the capabilities of the system. Linda mentioned in the presentation that the CCSP is a browser-based platform. That means that access to agent interfaces, supervisor interfaces, really any interface in the system is done through a browser. And to expand on that, we support Internet Explorer, Edge, Chrome, and Firefox as browsers. What I'm showing you here right now is the Touchpoint agent interface. We're going to go down through here on the left side. You see a toolbar with a number of different icons. We call them gadgets. The very first one, you'll notice that it's a little red circle with a white dash in it. You can configure the agent interface or each individual agent that when they log in, they're either automatically available to take an interaction or they're automatically unavailable to take an interaction. And in my case, when I logged in, my agent, based on username, is set to be automatically unavailable because I come into the office, I log in, I need 10 minutes to get a cup of coffee before I can talk to anybody. So it gives me a little time to go ahead and get ready for my day. When I'm ready to take a call or web chat or an email, I simply click on this icon and it makes me available. So what does that really mean? It means I'm logged in. If I'm unavailable, it means I'm logged in. Hey, system, don't send me any calls or interactions. If I make myself available, then based on my skill and the routing rules and interaction types that I'm allowed to take, I'm ready to get an interaction. You'll notice when I go back on release or unavailable again, if I click that, I see a list of different reasons that I'm going to become unavailable. This list is completely flexible, customizable. You can make these release codes anything that you want, whatever makes sense from a business perspective. You see, you can read these. I have break, lunch, offline, team meeting, training. It can be anything really. There's no limit to the number of items in a list. Everything an agent does is tracked by the system, including making themselves available and going unavailable. And that's all available to historical reporting later on. We're going to touch on that. So I'm going to go ahead and leave myself available for right now. Talk a little bit about these other icons, the calls menu. When I'm in an interaction, whether it be a voice call, an email, or a web chat, that icon will be active. You'll see that in a minute. I can simply click on this outgoing call icon and make an outbound call if I want. And I can do that. I can call other users in the system, other agents. I can call other maybe frontier departments within the company. These would be, main numbers, IVR entry points, things like that. I can create speed dial lists, although you don't see very much here, but you can create a list of different speed dials that the agents can have access to. Or I can just bring up the dial pad and dial something. In addition to that, agents can place outgoing emails. So I can click on this outgoing email icon, and here I am ready to place an outbound email to someone. Maybe I've been working with an internal customer, and I want to send them an email. I check the status on a ticket, and I want send them some information about that ticket. They have the ability to check a message folder. We'll get into that a little bit later. To set a callback. So again, I've been working with a customer, and I want to remind myself, basically, that I need to call this customer back tomorrow. I could put their name, their phone number, when I want to call them back, and that can either be these shortcut icons, today, tomorrow, 1 week, or I can specify a date and a time. We could do that, and you can also do that in an interaction as well. We'll see that. Agents have the ability to request assistance from a supervisor, and basically this lifesaver icon, if I click on it, it allows me to generate a message that's going to be sent to one or more supervisors that are responsible for managing me. So, and we'll get into that when we do a live interaction. Agents can check their voicemail from here, and then agents have access to what we call the mini wallboard. I'm going to drag that over just a little so you can see it a little better. So what the mini wallboard allows the agent to see is call center activity. How many calls are in queue? How many agents are available to take calls in a specific queue? how many calls have been answered today in a queue. You'll notice here I've got 2 calls answered in the CNOC queue. They can also expand these a little bit by clicking the plus sign, and that gives some additional information about calls in a particular queue. You can minimize this so that you make it a little bit skinnier. You don't need all the other information. You just want to see how many interactions are in different queues, and of course you can minimize it. Down here, the little gear wheel gadget, the settings gadget, allows agents to make some changes to the way they work with the touchpoint interface. And this is, again, permissions-based. So I can, my agent, based on configuration, is allowed to make changes to their settings. So if I click on preferences here, a couple interesting things come up. First and foremost, where are voice calls going to terminate, right? So you'll notice I have SIP highlighted here, checked off. SIP is single connect or road warrior mode in the Avaya vernacular. And when I'm set for SIP, that's going to leverage the internal built-in SIP soft phone that comes with CCSP. And this is a situation in my case where I'm running touchpoint on my laptop. I have a Logitech headset, wireless headset here. And so I'm telling the system when an inbound call is routed to me, use this interface, the SIP interface, which is, basically I'm going to get a call in over my headset. The other option is the telecommuter mode or dual connect mode. In this case, and I can do this whenever I want, by the way, whatever the situation calls for it, I can switch from SIP to what we've called voice device. In this situation, I'm going to tell the system that today, I want you to route any voice calls to me via in this case, that's my mobile phone number. But this could be a landline, could be anything, really, as long as it's a valid 10-digit telephone number. In this case, if I'm set to voice device, when a call gets routed to me, the system will automatically route that call to whatever that device is. If you think about in an Avaya world, this could be the 10-digit DID to an Avaya 9600 phone, for example. So that's telecommute. Agents can do things like set themselves as auto available. I mentioned earlier that based on configuration, when I first set up the agent, I said the agent will be automatically unavailable when they log in. Well, maybe the agent doesn't mind being automatically available when they log in, so they can set that. And they also can set themselves for auto answer. In addition to that, an agent can, if they're going to handle chat, agents can set up an automated chat greeting so that when they receive a chat request from an internal customer, the very first thing that will happen is that internal customer will receive a message immediately that says, "Hello, my name is, and how may I assist you?" And you'll notice those little brackets. The system will automatically insert the agent's name in those brackets. So it would say, "Hello, my name is John Goodwin. How may I assist you today?" So these are some settings that you can allow the agent to make that change the way Touchpoint works with them. Any questions so far? Okay, great. So I'm going to ask Jim to place a call in the queue, and we'll show you how an agent takes an inbound voice call from the queue. And I'm going to bring up a mini wall board so you can see that as well. Drag it over here a little bit. So in this case, Jim's going to make the call. It's going to hit a front-end system. That call is going to be routed to the queue. And then because I'm available and I'm configured to take calls from that queue, I'm going to go ahead and answer it. So now that call comes in, and it's on my headset, and the call is active. So a few things about on a voice call. First of all, agents have access to those information buttons. When they click on that, they can expand information about the call. For example, that it came in on the queue called CNOC, that it was placed in the queue at 9:53 a.m., that it was directed to an agent who had the skill called default skill, and that there was an additional message. So what we demonstrate here is the ability to take information that's sent along to us via SIP header from some other system, in this case the AAEP, and transmit some caller entered data along with the call. So in this case, the message says caller entered case number 306-888 in the AAEP. So it gives the agent additional information about the call. So in this case, I could be, when I answer the call and I'm talking to the customer, I could copy this case number, paste it into my ticketing system, and have that customer's ticket number up and in front of me to help that customer. That's one way that you can do that. Agents have complete call control. So again, I'm on my laptop, I'm on a headset, I can put the call on hold, take it off hold again. I can transfer or conference this call. Remember when I showed you the agent's outbound call capabilities, same thing here. I can click on users. I can sort by a group. So I can say I want to find another agent and I want that agent to be in the Frontier group. And I could click on this agent, for example, and transfer that call to the agent, or I could create a conference call, right? Maybe agent 2 is an expert on some carrier service, right? I don't have that expertise, but that agent does. So I'm going to bring this agent into a call. Whether I transfer it to them as a supervised transfer, consultation transfer, for example, or if I decide I'm going to go ahead and create a conference call. Again, I could transfer to some other part of Frontier. Maybe this person dialed the wrong number, came into the queue, and they don't want, they're not an internal customer, they're a residential customer, and they need to talk to a different contact center group. That could be a system, or it could be a speed dial number. Or again, I could simply either use the keypad or type in a name or a phone number to transfer the call to. When I click on the plus sign, while I'm in the call, I have the ability to select a wrap-up code. I can do this in the call or post-call. And wrap-up codes are, I call them call disposition codes. What was the state or what was the result of this call? That I'm researching an issue, that I closed the ticket, opened one, escalated one, whatever it might be. And this list is also customizable, whatever makes sense to Frontier Business, right? You can put that in. And these wrap-up codes can be set based on which queue the call came in on. So this call came in on an inbound voice queue. I'm giving these 4 wrap-up call dispositions, making those available to the agent. Maybe if I got a web chat in a different queue, this might be a completely different list of call dispositions I might want to have there. So these call dispositions are set based on the queue. Cancel that. While I'm in a call, I can schedule that call back again. So in this case now, I got the caller's number. I can verify that with the caller. Is this the right number to call you back at? If not, I could change that number. I can enter in Jim called me, so this is Jim Cubby. Again, set the date and time. This little checkbox called me means essentially this, I'm reserving this scheduled outbound call in the system for me. If I didn't check that, when the system made the outbound callback, it would present that to any agent in my group. So typically what we want to do is say, call me. I'm the one that set that callback. And once the agent is done with this interaction, they simply hang up on the interaction, right? We're not going to do that right now simply because I want to step over to the supervisor interface just for a minute. First and foremost, you'll notice that the supervisor interface and the agent interface are the same interface. The difference is that supervisors have a number of additional gadgets or icons that they have access to that agents don't. Things like an agent view, historical reports, call recording reports, real-time dashboards. These are additional functions that are part of a supervisor login that are not part of an agent login. You'll notice I have a number of different agents in my view. I can filter this view based on things like call state, who's available, who's in release mode, who's in a call. Right? I've got 2 agents in a call. One agent's actually on an inbound call, voice call. Another agent's drafting an outbound email. So we'll set that back to all states. I can display agents by groups. Right? I'm displaying by the Frontier group and by teams. So you can have a group and then a team of agents. And this is all about how I can easily manage agents in my view, how I can filter the view. If I hover on over an agent, you'll also notice that I've got a couple icons that come up. One is agent assistance, and the other one is to place an outbound call. So I have a lot of functionality and control over an agent. If I click next to an agent's name, you're going to notice I can do things like call an agent, monitor an agent, or actually log an agent out. Maybe an agent left for the day, forgot to log themselves out, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Let's focus on monitor just for a second. When an agent's engaged in an interaction, regardless of the interaction type, by the way, I'm able to monitor the agent. So this agent's in a voice call. I could just simply listen in. That's what silent monitor is. So I just want to see how this agent handles this particular internal customer. So I'm going to listen in on the call. The agent and the internal customer, the inbound caller, have no idea that I'm listening in on the call. I can whisper to the agent. And in this case, let's use the scenario like coaching, right? So I've got a new agent. I've monitored I'm monitoring their call to see how they're doing. And maybe I want to coach that agent in real time. So if you click on whisper, the agent will hear me speaking into their headset. The inbound caller will not, right? So I can say, hey, don't forget to do this or ask that question. Or if I feel like I need to, or if an agent asks me to, I can barge into a call. And in that case, basically we're creating a 3-party conference, the supervisor, the agent, and the inbound caller. So that's some of the capabilities that supervisors have regarding agent control. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. There we go. So what else can I do as a supervisor, right? I mentioned that we have access to things like historical reports, call recording reports, and dashboards. Let's take a look first at real-time dashboards. We give supervisors the ability to create dashboard views, and these are essentially a series of different real-time statistics that we can group together in a visual display. And this is all real time. And you can create as many of these views, these dashboard views, as you want. We have one here for a couple different screen resolutions. And I've actually started to build one for Frontier. So I'm a supervisor. I'm in the Frontier group. I have control over, let's say, CNOC, right? So I'm responsible for the operation of the CNOC group within Frontier, and I want to build myself a dashboard that's relevant to me, right? To build a view here, we call each one of these views a report. So what I can do is say I want to arrange the workspace. I want to add a report, and I can move this around and resize it. So now I've created a workspace that I'm going to be able to put some real-time data in. If I right-click on the workspace, I say Add a Gadget. So that real-time information you see running inside that view is called the gadget. And then I can do things like determine what I want it to look like. I want it to be a pie chart. I'm going to call it agent state. I can change the font of the title. So I can say I want it to be Tahoma, I want it to be black, and I want the font to be 16. And as I build it, you'll notice it starts to preview what this real-time gadget is going to look like. I'm going to say OK here. Now, because this is a pie chart, it wants to know, well, what do you want the pie chart to look like? You know, do you want to change the radius? I think you can hopefully see that on the screen, that the radius of the pie chart changes. Do I want to show just the value or a percentage? Do I want to change the font of the actual pie chart itself? And the meat of every one of these real-time displays is the data connection. What data do you want me to use to display this in real time? So I said I wanted agents, right? This is an agent state. So I want to see agents that are available, agents that are busy, agents that are in a call, agents that are in wrap-up, and whatever makes sense from a data perspective, right? And again, as you'll notice, as I begin to build this, I'm starting to see real data inside this gadget. And then I can select what group or particular agents I want to display, or what team. So I can say I only want to see the CNOC team because I'm a CNOC supervisor. So agents that are available, busy, in call, or in wrap-up in the CNOC group. And there it is. So now I have that gadget, and I can move it around, give it a different name. And when I'm done, I simply save the workspace. I save the view. I saved the workspace. So I save it. Now, these dashboards can be shared or they can be individual. In other words, I can build a dashboard and say, hey, anybody can have access to this dashboard. It's really useful. We really like it, so anybody can use it and edit it. Or I can say, I just want this for me. So in this case, I said, I just want this view for me. So this is how you build a real-time dashboard. And as conditions change in the contact center, you'll notice, for example, I built the team dashboard earlier. So there's a call in queue, the queue CNOC. Someone's in a call in the queue CNOC. And that's my agent back here. So that's what a dashboard looks like. And these are real-time. Any questions about that? Okay. Historical reports. Supervisors have access to all the historical reports that come packaged with the system. And these are reports like general ACD reports, agent-focused reports, event audits and configuration audits are all about people making changes to the system, seeing the number of calls that come in to the primary voice interface, reports about queues. Let's select ACD reports. You'll notice that this is all built on SQL Server reporting services. Everything, all the historical data is written to a SQL database. It's accessible and available. If you want to pull data from the database and build some kind of a custom report or some kind of consolidated report, we publish the database schema, and you're more than able to do that. Let's pull up an ACD report. So as with most reports that you'll see in the system, first of all, it's going to ask for a date range. In the case of an ACD report, it wants to know if you want to group it by the call type. A call type is, a voice call, an email, or a web chat. I'll say it's true. I want to see it that way. How do I want this report broken up in increments, daily, hourly, or on the half hour? And some of these will change depending on which report you want to run. Some have more selections than others. And then when I'm done, I click on report. And depending on how much data there is there, what my date range is, it churns through the report. And then I'm presented with the actual report itself. I'm going to drag this over so you can see this just a little better. There we go. Not that far. Okay. So here's a report, ACD by hour, daily. If I want to drill into a specific day, I simply click on the day and it brings up that part of the report. You'll notice the report has done what I asked it to do. I said, group by call type. So here's all the voice over IP calls, any chat calls that we took, any emails we took. In addition to the data, the columns of data, we provide you with some nice graphics here that give you a bird's eye view or a visual view of the trends. For example, you'll notice that seems like I spiked on offered calls to agents around 5 o'clock. So it gives me this nice little kind of a trend chart. It gives me a pie chart based on the same data and a little legend that helps you to understand and interpret what the data is. Once I've run a report, I can do things like export it in a specific file format. So I can say, I want you to take this and make it a Word doc or a PDF or an Excel. I want you to export it to Excel. In addition to that, when I run a report, we have this ability to create what we call a report subscription, which means I can go in, pick a report, say I want to subscribe to it. I can set a schedule on when I want the reports to run, and they can be multiple reports, and then have it emailed to me and maybe other people in the contact center. Or I can simply just print the report out by clicking the print icon. Any questions about historical reports? Okay. Last but not least, with regards to reports, are call recording reports. Same thing, I can search through the database and pull out any number of different reports on call recording and screen recording based on things like agent's name, the call type. I can click on advanced search. Oh, there we go. Click on advanced search and say I only want to find call recordings related to a specific ANI or DNIS or a start or an end time, or with or without screen recordings if we were doing screen recording. I simply put in a date range. I'm going to go back a ways. This is a demo system, so I'm going to go back a little bit further so I get a lot of data here. We'll go way back. We'll say Monday the 3rd till today. And say show calls. So once I've filtered the view, then I get a list of all the different call recordings that we've captured in the system. And call recording can be voice calls, but it's also chat and email transcripts. So here's an example of a chat transcript. If I click on that, then I see the actual chat that the agent had with the customer. Right? If this was an email, I'd actually see the email reply and the bodies of the emails that we exchanged with the customer. If there's a screen recording, there'll also be a camera icon, and that will show the screen recording. If it's a voice recording, there's a little telephone handset that displays there. And then you can open that recording, and it pops up a player, and you can listen to the recording. In conjunction with that, agent evaluation would also do the same thing. Bring up the recording, the screen recording, the transcript, whatever it might be, play it back and allow the supervisor or manager to do agent evaluation on that recording. Any questions about call recording reports? Okay. A couple more items. Now, we've had this agent in a call with the customer here for a while. We're going to go ahead and end this call. I just want to show you a couple of examples of other interactions that the CCSP system and agents can handle. CCSP is an omni-channel platform, and what that means is we can take any interaction, whether it be voice, email, or web chat, bring it into a universal routing and decision-making engine, and based on things that you configure like service levels, agent skills, and groups, route those to agents just like we route a voice call. So one example would be email. So someone sent an email to NOC support at frontier.com. The agent would get an interaction in just like they get a voice call in, and that would pop up and they'd be able to answer that email. You also have the ability to take emails, put them in a folder, and set them to be deferred. And for example, take the email, answer it, auto-acknowledge it, but put it in a deferral folder. And I could pull that out from that deferral folder. So here comes my, let me close that. Here comes the email. I click on answer. You'll notice that the agent answers every interaction type in the same way. And that provides consistency and ease of usability for the agent. It's very easy to learn how to use Touchpoint because really the agent experience is consistent regardless of interaction type. So this is an example of an email, and then again, so I've got an email in here, please escalate a ticket. I can reply back. I can reply to multiple people. I can forward that email. If I click on reply, then I would simply type in a reply. I can do things like attach, documents and so on. So that's how I would reply to the email. I'm not going to do that right now. So if I don't reply, system will say, do you want to defer this? In other words, do you want to hold on to this email, put it in a folder, and then based on a timer, present the email back to me later? I don't have time right now. I want to defer this. Go ahead and send it to me later. You can do that. I'm going to say no here just to close it. Okay. And just as with voice calls, I have a wrap up. I escalated the ticket for this customer. So last example of interaction is web chat. So I'm going to go ahead and generate a chat into the system. And when I do that, again, chat comes in just like a voice call and an email come in. I'm going to go ahead and answer that. And Laura says, hi. I say, hi, how can I help you? Or perhaps I had that auto chat greeting on, which would have said this anyway. And now I'm chatting back and forth with the internal customer over chat. Again, I can actually put their chat on hold. I can send this chat to another agent. I can schedule a callback. I can set a call disposition code. I can collaborate. So I can start up a collaboration session with this customer if I need to. So that's how chat works. And when I'm done with the chat, I simply close the chat out. Open the ticket, submit it. And that is, for right now anyway, that's the Touchpoint CCSP demo. Are there any questions? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this back over to Colin. And it's all yours, Colin.
John, thanks for doing the demo. We hope that everything that you've seen in our live demo today covers the requirements that we've discussed with Frontier, and that if you do have any questions, we look forward to having future conversations about CCSP and how it can solve the needs for your non-traditional agents. Thank you.
Arranged for some reference customers that you can contact. We would also like to ask you to block your calendar for the week of January 9th for a couple of days in there. We'd like to take you down to Baton Rouge where you can do a site visit with the state of Louisiana who is using this particular solution. With that, are there any other questions or comments? Great. Guys, we'll get you those references you can call, and we look forward to finalizing our trip into Baton Rouge so that you can see hands-on contact center service provider. Thank you very much.